Hello, rollers! Hello, friends and listeners of the future. Welcome back to the Roll Report. I am your host. My name is Colin. I use he and they pronouns. And we are here to bring you another episode of our fabulous one-shot summer with frequent guests. And today's game is also in our continuity, in the world of our campaign, and will have some bearing on the campaign once we get back to that. But for now, hello, friends.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me. Let's go around and do a little intro for yourself and maybe just a tiny bit about who you're playing this evening. And I'm going to toss it over to our wonderful guest to lead us off, if that's all right.
All right. Yes, as a person playing this game, my name is Ava. And I am playing as Fulip, the fairy. I have gigantic ears. I'm a bard. I orient to the world by listening, and I want to hear all of the sounds and music and stories of the people, but also the animals and the plants and the objects around me. And yeah, should I...
Kaya's face just lit up at the word fairy. It was very wonderful. Yeah. Sorry, you were asking something.
I guess, should I give any context about like why I'm at this, why I am where I am, or should we get to that in a minute?
Well, I think we'll get to that. I think we'll get to a little more about these characters. Ben.
Hello, this is Ben Rogue. I am playing Magistus Extemporaneous, which, if that sounds familiar from a previous one shot, this is because this is a different version of a temporal mage that you may recognize, which is later in chronological time, yet earlier in character development, thus raising many questions about the meaning of time and identity, which, I leave you to work out and do your own philosophy around.
Time is a soup.
Exactly.
Time is
not real, and also it's a delicious soup.
A gazpacho, if you will. Cold and
which
chunky.
is great on a hot summer day, which this
true.
definitely is for me.
Yes. It's finally been warm here as well. And last but not least.
Hello, I am Kaya May. I use they, them pronouns, and I will be playing Axelbeard Rubystone, a sorcerer dwarf.
Good name. Good name.
You might have to grab a spell or three while I do the rest of the intro. I don't think I picked those for you.
Okay.
Easy.
Due to life, I quickly threw together this character to make sure that Kaya's computer would cooperate / internet would cooperate. We love technological problems over here and redundancy.
Oh, well, we love redundancy.
We love redundancy.
Hey guys, guess what? I love redundancy.
Oh my God,
You know what
I love redundancy too.
Yeah.
Wow. Guys, we're so in sync. Thank you, players. As a reminder, you can find us on the interwebs at the Roll Report Cast on Instagram and TikTok, where you will find all sorts of interesting things, including upcoming interviews and announcements when I have a random stream game or other people do. I don't think I have anything else. I think we should just get right into it. Tonight, our story brings us back to the beautiful ringed city of Sea Shallow, the center of the archipelago of our world. And the camera fades in as the last rays of evening sun glimmer on the clear waters of the canals and waterways of the city, lights both magical and mundane beginning to flicker and glow from the windows of buildings and boats. Our camera swoops in towards the second ring, home to many fine magical shops, merchant estates, concert halls, and more, and darts closer towards a large building in the southwestern arc of the ring, around the 7 o'clock position. Tall, regal without being imposing, its ground level open to the air and boasting quite a nice public aquarium and park. seemingly grown from the very seabed rather than being constructed by mortal hands. This is the Museum of the Archipelago, home to the finest collection of natural and mortal artifacts known to the world. Its many storied halls, often larger on the inside than would seem possible, hold everything from the largest geode of crimson sunferrite ever found above the waters, at least. The kingdom of Atlantis may indeed have larger, but they certainly wouldn't tell air breathers if they did. To a spellbook from Genma Metalbraid, the legendary dwarven wizard who defeated a dragon turtle 400 years ago. During the day, the museum is often filled with visitors, tourists from across the archipelago marveling at its wonders, city residents side-eyeing them as they shuffle children between favorite exhibit halls, staff leading tours or politely discouraging smoking, magic usage, or taking self-lusions for bubble. And today, this evening, as the sun sets and the 3 moons of Pentelamar begin cresting the horizon, our camera dives closer, closer, closer to this building. And just as we, the viewers, realize that this building seems to be made entirely of coral and living plants, we pass the exterior, and we find ourselves in a well-lit space, distinctly shabbier than the halls of the museum, buried deep in its underbelly somewhere, with a faint whiff of old socks and rows of lockers around the walls of this room. The locker room, in fact, of the museum staff, where just now the day shift of guards and curators and so on are returning their uniforms and preparing to head home. And it is here that I will ask my players a question. Who would be the first person to arrive at work?
Magus would definitely be first.
Immediately, no hesitation.
I am unbound by the control of time, and so obviously I would be extremely punctual.
I think the living epitome of 10 minutes early is on time is late, late is unacceptable.
Time is just
like
a
always,
construct, but I will always be here before you expect me to.
All right. Well, Magister, then as the sun is setting, where are you coming from? Would you like to describe yourself as you arrive at the museum for your shift?
Sure. I am tall and lanky and blue, wearing flowing robes, and coming from a nondescript place in space-time. I may have just appeared out of the ether. If there was a camera on me, which apparently in this narrative there is, which I love, we've never done that before, then, it may appear as though the molecules that comprise my body sort of shimmered out of the evening reflection of the sun across the water.
Just leaning into the cinematic approach today.
Exactly. Why not?
Just at the mouth of an alleyway around the corner from the museum, there's just a shimmer in the air. Molecule by molecule, Magister steps out of the alley and turns, heading for the museum. And is there anything that you were doing on the way, or just kind of once you arrive, you have, even to a being as unmoored in time as you've had this job for some amount of your life. So the process of arriving, sort of skirting gently past the front ticket sellers and the gates and heading for the locker room is familiar to you. But is there anything else, anything on the way?
Well, I think, a lot of wizards, they would traditionally attend the Collegium in order to get more magical knowledge. But I have a particular fascination with the spell book of, who was it that you just described at the beginning that defeated a dragon turtle?
Genma Metalbraid.
Genma Metalbraid.
A
famous what? Say again?
A dwarven wizard. Famous dwarven wizard from about 400 years ago.
Defeated a dragon turtle. So I've been reading that account since my childhood. Fascinated by it. this person is my role model, my icon. Like I have grown up kind of obsessed with Genma Wizard Braid, but no one knows that. But being close to this tome, their spell book, like this is what's on my mind a lot of the time as I come to work.
I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Magister appears and arrives at the museum and then tries to arrive about an hour early to just go and kind of stand near this spell book and quietly observe it. And I think your compatriots perhaps do not know this. It may or may not have been noticed by others that work at the museum.
Right. I
I
dutifully transcribe any visible page, but even if I've already memorized that page, like I just want to be close to the book.
Yeah. So you arrive, you spend some of your customary time observing this book. Who is next earliest? I think, as we said, the Magister arrives about an hour before your actual shift begins. For this, a little bit of a ritual of spending time with the book of Genma Metal Braid.
I think Axebeard.
Yeah.
On time.
Okay.
But not early, just on time.
Okay. All right. Yes. Axebeard, as you arrive, would you like to describe yourself and where you are coming from?
I am coming from the Port District, where my family lives, and I walk through the main entrance with, like, I'm short and I've got this like massive beard, and I've got like brown beard, brown eyes, and I am already wearing my uniform.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's somewhere between a jumpsuit and a robe. It's got like the kind of the most awkward elements of both in a way. Not fashionable, but very identifiable. You walk in and like, the ticket sellers are just like, don't even look twice. And you also make your way towards the locker room. And Fulip, I guess let me rewind a moment and ask the question. Axebeard was right on time. Are you also right on time? Slightly late, slightly early?
Is customarily late. Like, really thought today was going to be the day that they get there on time. They want so badly to talk to the researchers in the field research department, and today we're going to catch one. And and there was this flower like right outside, and like the wind whistled in its petals just so. I just had to be with it. I just had to hear its song. And the wind and the flower were telling me this story of the world. And then I looked up and I was late again.
The flowers were this, it wasn't even that far away from, you were like really, really
So
close to being on time. So close. But these flowers just had such a compelling, wonderful narrative about this little piece of the second ring and their delightful home and nestled in a little crack of a building nearby. And it very difficult to tear yourself away. Very, very difficult. Amazing. So as you arrive, couple minutes late, you see waiting in the lobby for you is a taller human man, more in his uniform is the same color, notably entirely on the robe end of the spectrum, and your heart drops. This is your terrible boss, Will Slumberg. And as you walk in, he goes, "Oh, Fulip, late again. Well, we can't pay you for that time that you were, I don't know, listening to a fish."
It was a flower this time, but You should really
Right,
hear
a
the
fish, like
Yeah.
I said.
like you said.
Well, let's go. I'm sure your coworkers are already on time. I'm reasonably sure. And without another word, he kind of turns and with the exaggeratedly casual walk of someone who is absolutely not casual under any circumstances, leads you into the back. And you slip into one of the staff doors off of the main halls following him and eventually arrive in the locker room where I would say both Axebeard and Magister are already there. I think Axebeard like just barely having like gotten very presentable and you walk in, Will just goes, "Oh, see, Philip, I don't know why they're not more of an example to you. They're already here."
I look up to them very much. Maybe next time.
Yeah. I mean, literally, if you grew a little bit, you might look down. You should look into that.
I'll do my best. I'll keep researching. I think if I talk to enough flowers, maybe they'll teach me.
Do you smell them too? You know what? It's fine. Okay, let's go ahead. And he, from nowhere, from in his robe, just like pulls out a clipboard and starts kind of licking his finger, turning over a page. Oh, right. Okay. So here's what's on the docket this evening for you guys. First, clear the painting. Some of the starers haven't left yet. Okay? Great. Second, looks like the books in the dark library have been acting up again, so just make sure the chains are secured. Oh yeah, make sure the living statues stay in their hall. They've been wandering around again about midnight, and it's such a chore moving them back, isn't it? Yeah, you don't want to have to do that. Okay. And that looks like it's it. It should be an easy one. And he starts flipping them pages back and just kind of holds the clipboard for a moment. Great, well, and just kind of turns around and begins heading for the door. Oh, I almost forgot. Do you have any questions? That's fine, I don't actually care. But I almost forgot the other thing. The late crew isn't available tonight, so I'm also gonna need you to go ahead and stay until sunrise, okay? Thanks. And he just gives the smarmiest wave imaginable and leaves. And your last kind of remaining coworker of the day shift is an elf who's like finally taking the jumpsuit off, just looks over and goes, "Oh, sorry about that. It looks like you'll have a bit of a nasty night ahead of you.
Well,
Good luck."
luckily,
Ugh.
time is relative, and so these things don't matter to me so much. But my heaven, what a frustrating personality that boss is.
Oh, yeah. Slumberg will get you every time. Well, chin up. Oh, the books were all right. I think that I got the chain on, but they were very, very irritable earlier, so be careful. And they also turn around and head out, leaving the three of you alone in the locker room.
Well, all right. Shall we go just double check those chains on the books to make sure everything's top notch and just have that crossed out, easy peasy?
Yeah, it seems like a fine way to start. See what they have to say.
I finished pulling on my ill-fitting jumpsuit. I'm very clearly not happy with wearing anything other than flowing wizard robes. But so the uniform is just not my jam. But
It's like unfamiliar to have tubes of cloth around your
Right.
legs and like kind of
exactly,
uncomfortable.
it's also there is no tailor that can make this ungainly museum jumpsuit fit a person of my particular stature. So it's just never going to go well. I
It's
suppose.
I feel like you tried to have it tailored and it just magically resists the tailoring.
Right, exactly. It's like no amount of rethreading this thing is going to solve the problem. Well, I suppose we'd better go and look at these books. It's caused no end of problems in the past. I do love books, but the ones in the dark library can be particularly unruly.
And just rude sometimes.
Oh, they are incredibly rude. They are, these are books that will curse at you and threaten grievous injury on you and your loved ones, in just whispers at the corner of your hearing constantly.
A couple inches of my beard disappeared a couple times, like a couple nights ago, from said books.
It's been bothering you ever since.
Yeah.
The fact that there's things that can be done if there's someone has like a little piece of you, a little piece of your hair, and really don't know what happened to them. But your beard
I
was
also
definitely
take
an inch shorter.
pride
Mm.
in the shape of my beard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Messing
Mhm.
with a dwarf's beard is it's
Well, what shape was it before this like inch or so went missing?
It was a kind of like teardrop. Like it come out into like a point on the bottom, like an upside down teardrop, I guess.
Mhm.
And now it is like that teardrop bottom part that really gave it that like finesse at the bottom. Gone.
Just neatly sheared off, like perfectly straight
Yeah.
cutting edge somehow, and you have no idea how it happened. Yeah. So
Paper cuts, many of them.
so many paper cuts. The three of you begin your circuit of the museum. The museum is extensive and quite large. There's normally any number of exhibit halls and things, just kind of like, stick a head in, shine a little magical light, or aim a lantern around and make sure everything is good and continue on. And the Dark Library itself houses relics and spell books from necromancers, wizards gone mad with power, nefarious cults, and more. And these relics and items are carefully sealed behind crystalline walls, etched with protective sigils. Magister, you I think recognize some of these. They are beyond your current abilities, but they are all things of protection designed. They are designed to keep everything contained. I think all three of you are also aware that they're doing the best they can, but it's a little bit of a risk, even with these. Each of these items are also accompanied by a small placard with some tale of the provenance of said item. And towards the back of the hall are archive stacks laden with books, usually chained to their shelves amid the near constant rustling of pages and whispers. As the three of you arrive, I would like you all to make a perception check, please.
I just perceived it 18.
Okay.
I got a 15.
Okay.
And I got a
and Philip, you
9.
add
I think. Oof.
ouch. Was that
It's into something else.
Could be worse.
ouch, a 3. So Philip, you flit in. I would imagine Philip tends to spend more time airborne and like near head height of your companions. Well, two very different sized companions.
Split the difference.
The three of you as you walk by, there is like the rest of the last bits of the other museum staff. Like there's a couple points and like slight chuckles just as the sheer size comedy of like a very, very small fairy hovering in the air, a 4-ish feet tall dwarf, questioning-ish, Kaya, 4-ish,
Yes.
yeah. And then I think all close to 6.
Yeah, probably 6.5.
Just like 6'6" tall Vidalkin, this like short dwarf and little. So you are, sort of known figures in this sense. But Philip, as you enter this room, flitting around, your eyes are going everywhere. There's so many of these items. So many of them are interesting. A few of them even came from sort of the more malicious of the archfey. It's not really evil because they're acting to their nature, but the more malicious ones. So some objects reminiscent of home, not really noticing. You're like, oh, the books are fine. You hear a little bit of pages rustling, sounds like the normal one. And Axebeard and Magistus.
Whatever. Magister means teacher in Latin.
It does. I remember that. It was one of the first words I learned in high school. Magistus. You both, as you enter and look around, kind of knowing that Fulip tends to move a little faster and more meanderingly than you head close directly to the archives. And as you draw closer, there is the normal susurrus of noise of paper and faint whispers on the edges of your hearing. And as your eyes scan the shelves, most of them are still. The pages flap a little bit, and you see one particular shelf where they have sort of a long metal bar and chains that link each of the books to them when this bar is sort of engaged. But you see the whole bar has kind of been removed, so the books are free and they're beginning to move and almost hover and lift off of the shelves. I don't know what you would like to do about. What would you like to do about this?
So is there an obvious risk here? We're noticing movement.
Roll, I'll say either history or arcana as you notice.
Okay, great. I will roll arcana.
Okay.
Oh, that was a crit fail +6. So apparently I'm not remembering my job here.
I mean, they're supposed to have that bar in place on the shelf and be locked to it. You know that much.
Do we know what section we're in? Like what are these books?
So this section is not necessarily spell books per se, as much as manifestos, missives, journals, more things of that nature that still came from dark wizards or necromancers or strange cults or prominent figures, within those cults. So these particular ones are unlikely to contain horrific spells or magic of that nature, as much as, like many things, a high concentration of magical items and raw power in this room does funny things to what would normally be mundane objects.
Mm-hmm.
And you would know this from working at the museum.
Right. Yeah, I would say Magistus is torn between a desire to do his job and just secure these books, and also kind of wanting to explore them, being a bibliophile, wanting to take one or more of them off the shelf, explore them, read them. Let's say I reach out for the chain that's supposed to secure these books, but then the title of one of them catches my eye, and I pull it off the shelf to look at it.
As you pull this book off the shelf, the entire rest of the shelf starts flapping their covers and pages and lifts into the air and begins swarming around you. Everybody roll initiative.
Oh, nice. All right.
Dang,
I got a 5.
Yeah, I rolled disastrously as well. I have a 7.
Yeah, I'm a 4 + 4, bring me to an 8.
Woo! We're doing real bad.
Okay. Okay.
I think I might get swept up in this whirlwind.
The books are first, and then I think Axebeard is last with a 5. And wait, it's in our game log, I think. I might be able to just tell this. Okay. Okay. So books Fulip, Megistus, Axebeard. Okay, so the books, as they swarm around you, Megistus, you are completely surrounded. The covers are battering you every which way. Paper cuts are like appearing on your arms as it buzzes by you. And does a 12 hit you?
I have AC 11 without mage armor, so yeah.
Okay, because they got their thing off. That is 6 points of bludgeoning damage.
Oh, all right. That's not paper cut damage. I figured that would have been slashing damage. No,
Sure. It's for flavor.
plus the paper
I think
cuts.
it's either it is the books and the paper
combinations,
cuts going around.
paper cuts,
Yeah.
and books. Okay, got it.
Yeah. All right, that is the books. They hover around. So Fulip, I think that is you. So I'm going to say you are, about 30 feet away. And this has definitely drawn your attention. The book, like now there's noise. It is tearing you away from the other things that were capturing the attention of your wonderful hearing.
I see that my coworker is in some distress. There are books flying everywhere. I feel the wind catching my own wings, and I'm trying to get my bearings. I'm kind of pulled into the fray, and I try to just latch on to one of these attacking books. I try to attach to the attack. And maybe you find one about my size and just kind of latch on, hoping that I can stir this away from my companion.
Yeah. Okay. Roll. We'll call that a grapple. I think. I would say, and it is your size. These books are much closer to your size. So, athletics. Roll me athletics. So that's a +2 for you, and the books are gonna see if they can avoid you. Oh god, the books are very nimble.
I got a 17.
How did you do?
15 + 2.
Rollies. Okay. Exactly the same result. You fly in. The books are swirling around your friend. You swirl right into the fray. The book is almost out of reach, and you close in on it. Roll one more. Oof.
Oh,
they did very good again.
Not so good this time.
Okay. You continue swirling in, and the book at the last moment just closes its cover and drops 3 feet closer to the ground before and trying to soar away. It evades you for now, and you are up in the mix. So I will call that an action for you. Do you have a bonus action if you like? You have your bardic inspiration if you would like to inspire someone.
Well, maybe I'll inspire Axebeard.
Okay. What do you do or say to inspire Axebeard? And then Axebeard, you'll get a D6 that you can use in the next 10 minutes.
I just in all of this chaos, I erupt in a sound. It's just a particularly.
It is. The sound enters your ears, Axebeard, ringing in your mind a little bit, as it does sometimes when you look at the stars and you feel very inspired. Okay, I believe that is Fulip, and I believe next is Megistus.
Okay, so how is Fulip like in amongst these books now?
Yes. For spatial purposes, because this thing is a swarm, it can actually occupy the same space as other creatures. For sort of targeting purposes, you can hit the books and not your friend. Not with like a large area thing, that would be very difficult. But if you're like, I would like to firebolt or something targeted.
Okay.
You can avoid.
So
food.
I'm targeting these things as a swarm and thus as a single
Yeah.
entity. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Yeah.
If you're trying to do damage, as we would say.
Totally. I was considering casting Thunder Wave, but then when I realized that might just release all the other books, that seemed like a disastrous idea. So I also probably should not cast Shatter.
Up to you.
Okay. I mean that is an area of effect spell.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I can cast Shatter and not harm Fulip, then I want to do that.
Read me the language on Shatter.
Shatter says, a sudden loud ringing noise, painfully intense. Oh, sorry, Fulip. Erupts from a point of your choice within range. Each creature in a 10-foot radius centered on that point must make a con save, 3d8 on a failed save, or half as much. And creatures made of inorganic materials such as stone, crystal, or metal. I assume these books are made of paper.
Yes.
So
yes. Well, there's definitely a couple of the sort as they're whizzing around and you look, like, that's someone's skin.
Okay.
Like there's like creepy leather and stuff. But yeah,
that's still organic.
They are inorganic.
Right, yeah.
And the pages are still
Right.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay. If I can cast Shatter without destroying Fulip, then given their sensitivity, I certainly would not want to, do that harm.
Yeah, I'll allow it. And these things are going to roll their save at disadvantage. Why don't you roll me some damage?
To be clear, actually, I think that they're not going to be at disadvantage because paper and skin are organic compounds. Like they're talking about inorganic, specifically metal, stone, or crystal, right? Like even if they're dead, they're still made out of previously living things.
Yeah.
So, I want to be right about that for scientific reasons.
Fair enough. As a scientist.
Otherwise, people will be disparaging us online about our lack of understanding.
You know what? Well, then applaud us for our scientific accuracy. The books do not get advantage or disadvantage on their save.
All right, I'm hitting these 3d8.
Jesus, but they roll well.
Okay.
So they succeed.
Okay, great.
But they will take half damage.
They're taking half of 13. I can't remember if we roll up or down on that.
Downs. They take 6. What does your magic look like in this slightly earlier Magistus?
So Magistus is gonna stand at the edge of the swarm and clap his hands, and then blow the spell into the book with a thunderous report.
There is a sharp ring of thunder. Fulip, even as much as this does not like directly get you, you cover your ears and like fold them in tightly. Axebeard, you also, this like rings in your head a little bit unpleasantly. Magistus, roll me an intimidation check with advantage.
Yeah, that's a good call. Should have tried to send them back to sleep. Oh, that was an 18. Okay. Are they scared? Did I scare the books?
The books like recoil from you. Like, they didn't quite get blown backward as much as ripple in the air, but they recoil a little bit. You see about half of them begin quietly. The way a cat just sort of was like, yeah, I totally meant to like always be here. You didn't have to, just casually, if a book can be said to be casual, flying back to their shelf. Or the what is it? The "Don't be suspicious" meme from Parks and Rec. It's like it's that.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
So yeah, about half of them return to their shelf. So that was action for you. Any bonus action?
Nope. I'll
All
just
right.
say, yes, little books, go back to sleep.
You hear this little whisper, I'm never sleeping. We're always awake. And Axebeard, we come to you. About half of these books seem to have been pacified, and the other half are still swarming around.
I step into like the vortex super calmly and kind of like roll my eyes at Mr. Sticky Fingers over here, and I cast Calm Emotions.
Ooh. Okay. It says humanoid.
Well, these books have had
No. I'm absolutely allowing it. I'm looking at so I'm gonna specifically look at this, making a target indifferent about creatures of your choice that it is hostile towards. And that to me reads as a little bit less detail. Anyway, I'm allowing it. Okay, the books are going to make a what save are they making?
a charisma.
Oh wow! Believe it or not super charismatic being animate objects. They have a -5 to their charisma.
Perfect.
So that is a 7, which becomes a 2. So, Axebeard, what does your magic look like? What do you do? What is it? What do we see as you cast this spell?
So any kind of like shiny rocks in the space twinkle as if they're stars. And they vibrate and create this like really relaxing sound.
This tone sort of ripples out through the room, and you see the like ends of these rails that the books are attached to have like a little sort of like a curtain rod, almost like you can unscrew a thing, take them out, and the knobs at the end of them just begin chiming very faintly in harmony to this tone, and it ripples throughout the room, and you see the books slow down. Their hovering becomes much more gentle. The flaps of their pages slower. They don't lose height, oddly, but they move in a much more relaxed way, and they begin slowly drifting back towards the shelf.
And I instruct them to go back to their beds and home.
You hear this faint, you all hear this very faint, we're going because we want to, not because you told us.
Yes, of course.
You can tell us nothing.
Now make sure you're in the right section. Don't call
Which
up the wrong books.
Wait, that one belongs in the bibliography.
Okay, come on. You get over to bibliography.
Wait, that one's an autobiography. Why is it? That one's a spell book. What the fuck? And the books themselves start like, a cover almost turns into an elbow and like shoves the ones that are in the wrong section back out, and they start flying away.
And I'm going to use my bonus action to do telepathic speech with Ben's character.
Okay.
And I'm going to say there's a library at the Collegium that you can check books out without consequences like these.
So Ben, you can respond to this connection. I would imagine that this is not unfamiliar to you. And actually, let me pose that question, Axebeard. Is this something that you do regularly?
Yeah, I am regularly telling my colleagues off, but privately. Like I don't embarrass them in front of anyone else. I'm just gently chastising them and trying to lead them into a better way of being.
Philip, as you look up, releasing the book that you had grappled, and you see Axebeard just doing like finger to the temple, staring very fixedly at Megistus for a minute, and you know that there's some unspoken communication happening.
And you probably know what it is in context and knowing why I would.
I can almost hear the melody of it. But I'm just kind of like, I've heard all of these, like, as this harmony is coming into the room, I'm just like humming along and so delighted. Just like, oh, this sounds are so nice. It's so much nicer now.
Roll a performance check.
14.
It's pretty good. It is definitely in harmony. You to yourself, you know that you've performed better. But in this moment, having just wrestled a book your
little winded.
size, you feel pretty. Yeah, but feel pretty good about it.
I look. Kaya? What's your character called again?
Axebeard.
Right.
Ruby Stone.
I just look back at Axebeard with a withering look.
Just quietly withering.
Exactly.
And I
No
roll
response
my
needed.
eyes and sweep off or huff off, kind of like trudging slowly to the next thing. Come on.
Assuming the two of you follow your gruff compatriot as Axebeard pronouns.
I said he, him originally, I think, but I think it's more of a they, them. Like you don't actually know many dwarves of all genders have beards.
True.
It's true.
And we've never
and
had a gender discussion, so you just don't know.
That's canon.
And I think you said, and I didn't remember, and I want to make sure. So do you follow them? Do you follow your compatriot?
Yeah, after all of these lovely sounds, I'm eager to see what other sounds might come from Axebeard today.
The books calmed, the shelf relocked, and the chains secured. You return to your circuit, realizing at this point it is a not insignificant amount of time after closing, and you have not completed the first thing on the list that Slumberg told you about the painting. And so you turn your steps towards the western side of the building. Along the western side lies the Bouve, where every artist of the archipelago dreams of placing a piece. Because we're funny like that. Sculpture, painting, all of the visual arts find a home here, including some rather unique works. And a few minutes go by as you traverse the building, and as you round a corner, you see a handful of people standing idly about 40 feet from the door, staring fixedly at the wall. Slack-jawed, like as if, almost as if puppeted, as if they're as relaxed as it's possible to be while still remaining upright with a minimum of muscle engagement.
You're looking at a specific painting?
They are. All of you can give me a history check, and with advantage, you have been at this museum for some time.
Okay, great. Oh, well, it's a good thing I have advantage because I just crit failed that first one. The next one's a 10. Not doing great on these rolls so far. Variance.
Well, I don't think Megistus is very interested in art. Am I wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely Megistus is here for the books.
Yeah. So you're just like...
I
Go
got
ahead.
a 19.
19? Okay. So Megistus, you look in, you're just like, I know it's my job to like look and get people out of here, but it's like I don't care. I don't know anything about this. Your brain space is much more valuable in other places. Fulip and Axebeard, you both, for whichever reason, have more of an interest, and you remember because this was one of the first things they told you on day one. This, about 40 feet from the door, is a large painting. It is a surreal, brightly colored landscape that seems to move subtly in your peripheral vision if you do find yourself looking at it. And in the painting are many fey creatures that also seem to move slightly. And this is a well-known painting by Ulrin Abixath, a Triton sorcerer from about 70 years ago. And when she created this work, it was imbued with so much of her magic that people find themselves unable to look away. And this is a daily occurrence at the museum. Patrons, sometimes even staff who forget and turn their attention towards the painting can be stuck and can take an awful long time to break themselves out of it if they do. And so on day one, as you arrived here, your first job was to go and shake these people awake. And the two of you remember this. Magistus, I think you just, no idea, start walking in, I assume.
Yep. I just wander in. I'll look back at my compatriots. Let me know if you need me to get my bagpipes out to wake these people up from whatever's going on here.
Shall I leave the gentle nudging to you?
I think I'll kind of flutter and reach out and go, not again.
So the first person you hover in front of, as you sort of break their line of sight, there's like, whoa, oh, hey, you're really small. Whoa, how long have I been here? Is it dark out?
I'm just sort of like listening to the sounds of the people as I'm kind of getting in their faces. And
Well, so I think what you notice also as you leave their line of sight, I'm gonna roll for this. One of them just like returns to the painting. Two others had the same sort of like shaking, waking themselves up, and they managed to get a hand in front of their face as you flit by. And one of them just like kind of followed you with his eyes and then like right back to the painting. So Axebeard, there you see two, just random people rubbing their eyes a little bit, like clearly one of them is kind of like holding his back a little bit, realizing that they have been standing in place for hours. Two of them begin heading out towards the exit. Philip, as you continue, these people kind of keep two others. So there's now kind of the last three. Two of them, every time you shake them, they look at you for a moment and they look back at the painting. Several people have been successfully shaken loose, and a couple people seem very determined.
Am I still just wandering around the room? I'm not sure whether I should be taking actions here since I seem to be disengaged.
Well, let me ask you, did you in fact look at the painting as you approached these people?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, given that I've been in this room so many times and seem pretty uninterested in art, I'm going to assume no. Okay. I've just kind of wandered through the room. I don't know. I mean, I've worked here for a long time, so maybe I'll just say like, all right, people, it's time to move along. The museum is closed now. Let's all take our eyes from whatever this wonderful painting is and go about your business. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
So you notice, roll me a perception check while you're at this. You notice that merely talking to people seems to have little to no effect. Fulip is having some amount of success, like physically blocking their vision and like giving them little tiny fairy slaps on the cheek.
Okay. Well, that checks out because my roll was disastrous. So clearly poor strategy. I rolled a 4. So yep, I'm going to go ahead and say that whole action is ineffective.
Yeah. I think you as you pass them, just like a glance sideways, you see Fulip doing this thing, yell at people, and then continue on. You're not sure if you're imagining it, but as you kind of go towards the end of the hall, where like the exterior wall of the building might be, you think you hear a little sort of skittering noise in the wall, but can't be sure that it's not in your own head or that it wasn't just the sound of Fulip's wings striking you in a particular way.
Okay. Can I take an action to investigate that?
Sure. So Axebeard, you see Fulip flitting about, gallantly trying to free these people. Magistus has like shouted at them and then wandered off into the recesses of the exhibit hall. What are you doing?
I'm moving in front of the people who aren't getting like woken up, and I'm like covering their entire vision field with my face and like physically moving them to face the other direction.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna say I think both you and Philip give me a persuasion roll.
I got a nat 20.
It is 16.
Nice. Fuck yes. Yeah. Philip, you look over, your coworker, compatriot has come over and is like the ones that had kind of turned away after you shook them a little bit. You see like in dwarven fashion, just kind of like kicks him in the kneecap to wake him up and like starts physically maneuvering them out of the way. And between the two of you, in the next minute or so, you manage to clear everyone. And your compatriot is still kind of like at the end of the hall.
I'm grumbling at them the whole time and also telepathically telling them they should know better. There's a plaque that clearly states that if they look at this too long, they might get trapped. And now it's,
the last person to go is this like medium-sized furbolg who like kind of rubs their face a little bit, looks down at you and just goes, I think you guys should really have a sign for this if I'm gonna stay here all day. That feels kind of rude.
If you
can I make a complaint? Do you take complaints?
You're welcome to make a complaint. Tomorrow you may return. However, you will find that there is a plaque that states this on both sides and in the entryway of this.
Wait, where is it? He looks right at the painting again.
I slap him in the face.
Well, you guys really should have a sign warning about that.
Yes, we should. You're so right. Come on. And I usher him out.
You usher them out. Philip kind of like, I imagine like flying and tugging like a pinky finger.
A tiny lock of hair. I'm sort of pulling them along by the.
Ow. Okay. Our head fur is rather sensitive. I get it. It's time to go. Thank you. There really ought to be a sign. You see him begin heading off towards the exit. Megistus, your investigation check.
I rolled poorly again. It's an 8.
Someday you're gonna have a character that rolls amazingly, or a day. I mean, you do.
The capybaras rolled extremely well.
That's true. The capybaras did,
especially after that speech.
Exactly.
I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what's happening. Somehow you have the many items. It was like you have advantage, but I couldn't figure out why.
Yeah, right.
It's because
that's right.
Many items are still in your inventory.
Right. This one special item, like it specifically allows me to roll advantage because it's like an eye, like a viewing crystal. I don't know if you want to let me have that. Whatever.
No, but in this case, I will remind you about your chronal shift if you want to use that.
Okay. What is that again?
As a chronology wizard, as a reaction after you or a creature you can see within 30 feet makes an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can force a reroll. You can make this decision after whether you see if the roll succeeds or fails.
Great. Okay,
but you have to use the second roll.
Let's use temporal magic to change this roll. Okay, so I will investigate again.
All right.
Okay, that's an 18 with the bonus.
Okay. With an 18, as you get closer to the wall here, you hear the skittering. It's not in your head. It's definitely not any sort of sounds coming from behind you. But you press your ear to the wall and you hear just little that seems to go kind of from behind you and fade into the distance in front of you, as it were. It is something inside the walls.
All right, I'm going to tell my compatriots about this. Friends, there seems to be some sort of skittering aberration in the walls here. It seems as though the things that we've encountered thus far today are normal course for night shift at the museum, but I am concerned that there may be
I'm
something more sinister going on here.
I'm curious about the rhythm and the tone of the skittering. If that might clue me in.
Come and listen for yourself, Fulip. I think you might be the exact right person to come and tell us more about what's going on.
Yeah. Philip, you fly over to this wall. I would say your choice of investigation or perception as you also fly in and press your large
Go with
ears to the walls.
perception, which is a 15.
There's a moment as you press your ear to the wall when you hear nothing, just sort of the sort of internal noises of your own body, and then you hear it again, and it same sort of passing. Your ear is on the wall, and it seems as if it's coming from behind you and moving towards in front of you. With a 15. The sort of rhythm and tone of it do sound insectoid to you. Not easily identifiable in this moment, but something that is small and fast and seems to have the quality of chitin clacking on stone or coral, as it may be.
I'll relay this to my companions. It sounds that kind of insecty, small things, skittery, fluttery things.
Well, this is very concerning. Perhaps I should just break down this wall and find out what's going on here. That might be hasty, though. What do you think, fellow friends?
Can I cast Detect Thoughts?
Sure.
On
yeah.
creatures?
Well, let me. Yeah.
It says that I can see. I can't see these creatures. But if I hear them, does that count?
Yeah. See, this is one of those things. I think the rules as written for the spell doesn't make sense. I think to me this is, especially given that you are an aberrant mind sorcerer who is telepathic. This is sort of focusing and letting your magic and your mind expand to the area around you. So I'm going to allow it.
I sit down next to the wall, close my eyes and shut out these two people with their chattering and go into a deep meditative state. And I hear their thoughts briefly and I'm like, no.
Very briefly, Magistus, surface thoughts most on your mind in this moment.
Oh, wait, Kaya, you're casting this
Kaya,
on us?
No.
Kaya's. I'm adding this because as just Kaya gets just the briefest moment because of the way the spell has to kind of bounce around as you maintain concentration of it. Just the very briefest flicker of an Axebeard for you. It's I recognize that mind. I recognize that mind. That's where the weird one is. But there's just like the skip of a stone across
curiosity and mild boredom.
Yeah, predominant emotions and
I'm
for you.
really tuned into the sonic experience. I'm maybe it's like a or is it a and I'm listening for that.
You hear this a little bit of rhythm from there, and then Axebeard, roll. I will let you. I will allow it as a spell casting check. So a charisma check for me as you do this. That is just your charisma ability. So +3.
A D20.
Yeah.
18.
Okay. You
So competent.
very competent, clearly competent. Your mind reaches out. It skips off of the curiosity and boredom of Megistus. It skips over and around the rhythm and the rat-a-tat of Fulip, and you get not so much a thought as and not even really an emotion. It is just a sense of hunger. And it's diffuse. It's not you can't really identify one mind. And with an 18, as you think about this, and you think, well, okay, my spell didn't exactly fail, but whatever this is a creature that is not intelligent enough to have thoughts. So, and I think with an 18, if you look the first part of the paragraph of that spell, this creature has an intelligence of 3 or lower and doesn't speak. So it is essentially unaffected. You are getting just this like little looming sense of hunger and diffuse many minds present as this whatever this is continues.
I'm looking at my spells,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like I have dissonant whispers,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably the only other thing that might work on these folk.
I've got animal friendship here. Maybe I can like lure them out somehow, and we can.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you do it the passive kind way, and I know this about you, so I'm not gonna do dissonant whispers.
All right, so let's see. Maybe I can do that. See if we can kind of like bring them to us and figure out what they are in a friendly way.
Yeah. Fulip, what does your magic look like as you cast animal friendship?
I'm like cooing to them, or like I've been listening to their rhythms, and so I'm like gonna make some sounds to get them to show them like, oh, I'm one of you. I'm like I'm like whispering back to them in their like clickiness. And as I kind of as if they get closer, maybe I can hear a little bit more, and I'm echoing that, and I'm just showing like I'm mirroring them.
Yeah. So the other two of you see Fulip kind of fly closer to the wall. This series of noises emanating, I think even kind of sort of the pattern of your wing beats changing to match some of this. Roll. Wait, is it just friendly, or do you have to roll a thing for it? I was looking at that a moment ago. Manage from wisdom saving throw or be charmed for 24 hours. Okay. Believe it or not, many things of this nature are not very wise. So it rolls a 2, which becomes a 0.
All right.
Extremely friendly to you at this point.
They love me.
A moment or they really do. A couple moments go by, you hear the sound gets louder. And it's like, now there's like a little bit of noise coming from behind you, a little bit of noise coming from in front of you and converging kind of right by where you are. And there's a strange sort of, it's, I'm like thinking of the cartoons when like a beaver gnaws an entire log really fast, and it's almost like sounds like a reciprocating saw, like a power tool. And there's like that sound of like, or like concrete grinding, like a angle grinder shaving down stuff. And then a little hole appears in the wall, and you see first, like long antenna, long, small insect limbs, and a weird little like mandible, and it sort of like moves around. You can tell it's looking at you. And then it comes out, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another. And within moments, an entire swarm of centipedes, a mass of centipedes, is all circling the area, the 5-foot square immediately underneath where Fulip is flying, emitting this like very faint hum just by the proximity of so many of them, and lots of
I'm still just like conversing with their music and just like humming and chittering and kind of like flying a little bit above them and being like, "Hey, new friends."
Yeah, yeah. They are not smart enough in the slightest to be able to respond to you in any real way, but you know that your magic is affecting them, and they are, anytime you dip a little bit lower, you see a bunch of them start lifting their upper halves up and reaching their many little legs towards you.
I just feel really like popular. I'm like, oh man, maybe like the museum staff is gonna think that I'm like really cool because like I charmed all of these centipedes and like maybe we can like talk about it and it'll be fun and they'll respect me.
Yeah. Megistus and Axebeard, this is all happening right in front of you. This writhing mass of centipedes on the floor.
I am definitely at least somewhat horrified.
I've seen lots of bugs in my life, and I'm like, oh, I guess we need to take these to the botany section.
I think, I say to my compatriots, I'm vaguely disgusted by this. I think we should kill them. They seem to be posing a threat to the structure of the museum. What if they harm the books?
This does give me like a little bit of pause. Like, oh, I really like the books too, but like, these creatures love me.
I think whatever on-site botanist in the building that is taking care of whatever creatures need to be taken care of 24 hours would have the correct solution to this issue. They might be good food and feeder for our resident, and I named some special animal that is unique to Sea Shallow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Archipelago.
There is. It's not like a full-on zoo, but there's definitely a couple of kind of like odd or rare or magical creatures in like their own enclosures in a separate wing. I don't know, botanist or biologist?
I first
caught
was
me for a
thinking
minute.
botanist, and then I was like, actually, maybe the biologist, and they might be working in a similar area.
Yeah, this seems reasonable to me. Like I'm still like I feel like a little bit of attachment to my new friends, but the thought of like meeting other like more advanced creatures and maybe like getting on their side is like also really exciting.
Yeah. So the three of you, with this little swarm of centipedes following you, begin heading towards the biology wing, as it were. This walk takes a small amount of time, and it takes you somewhat close to the main entrance. And as you were all kind of passing down this hallway, again, this like the height difference of like small dwarf hovering fairy with wriggling mass of centipedes and like tall Vidalkin, both of the walking ones very carefully avoiding this like patch of moving ground. Everybody give me a perception check.
Got 12.
Wow. That was a 5. Have I rolled above a 7 tonight? I don't think so.
I don't think so, and
I'm
I
gonna start
feel
using
terrible about
regular
it. Well, you
dice.
did it. You did good on the second investigation.
Okay. I'm done with
Okay.
D&D Beyond for tonight. That's it.
I got a dirty 20.
Okay. Axebeard, you are the first to notice this, quickly followed by Fulip. Megistus, you, I think, you're focused on not letting the centipedes touch any part of your clothing or boots or body. And they sort of, as a swarm, expand and contract in sort of a constant dance around it. Axebeard, you are the first to hear what sounds like determined knocking on the door. And as you look over, you see 5 individuals standing outside the door, one of whom is politely but firmly knocking.
Hello, fellow tradespeople.
This has been. I hope you are enjoying this podcast as much as we are. If you are, please leave us a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you are listening on. Also, go ahead and follow us on social media at the Roll Report Cast. If you are feeling especially supportive and fancy and delightful, you can also support us on Patreon, which we would really love and appreciate. And you get all kinds of really fancy special bonus perks for doing that. All right, back to the show.
So you all are walking or flying, as it may be, avoiding this skittering mass of centipedes on the ground directly underneath Fulip. And Axebeard, you are the first to notice this group of people by the main doors, firmly, but not banging of, police or someone like desperately trying to get in, but loudly, firmly knocking.
I use my telekinesis and ask them, what do they want? My telepathy.
Your telepathy?
I was going to say.
Yeah, I was like, you can throw things at the
Are
door.
you moving them with your
No,
hands?
I'm just talking to them with my bonus action.
Just talking to them. Okay, great.
You hear this like very surprised sound reply. Huh? What? Oh, wait. Hi. We're here from Crimson Pest Control. We heard you got a problem.
Yeah, we're, I think, sorting it. What do you do with the pests? How do you control them?
Well, I mean, can we come in? This is kind of weird. I don't really know. You guys see like Axebeard has just stopped and is staring towards the front door fixedly with a finger to their temple. We could like have a dialogue.
I'm supposed to be keeping people out. So
well, no. I mean, like, we're here to help the museum with this infestation.
Sure. And we have the infestation. We can either hand off the infestation to you or to our botanist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine. Hand it off to us.
Can you hold for 10 minutes? Thank you. And then he continues walking to the biology section.
The door, like, there's a moment you guys see Fulip and Magistus, you see Axebeard, like, take the finger off their temple and continue on towards the biology. You guys can now see there's these figures outside the front door. One of them has kind of, like, taken a step back and then steps forward again and starts knocking. And Axebeard just, like, walks off.
Axebeard, hold back for a moment. Who are those people and why are they knocking?
Yeah, what's going
they're
on?
Pest control. We might drop off the buggies with them later, but I thought we'd check in with our friendly botanists or biologists.
How do they know that we have a pest problem? We haven't told anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good question.
Yeah, what are they doing here?
Let's keep ignoring them.
I am concerned that they may not have the best interests of us or the museum at heart, given that they seem to have appeared to solve a pest control problem that no one else knows that we have.
That's very astute of you. What do you propose we do?
Yeah,
I am concerned that the main threat to this museum is them right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, should we go and deal with them for a little bit?
I mean, these doors have impeccable wards. The only way they're getting in is if we let them in, I'm sure.
Can we check that, Colin? Are we sure about that?
Sure. Make a history check.
All right. Oh, hey, I finally rolled well. That's a 22.
Yeah. This was important to you when you received your training. The protection of these books and artifacts was something that you were actually engaged in. So it's not as much that the entire building is sort of like warded and protected against magic as almost every exhibit features an alarm spell or an adaptation of it. So it doesn't all necessarily go to the same caster, but it all goes to a centralized location. The main doors, all of the doors lock. The main doors are, glass. It's reinforced. but it's glass. In spite of the high value of the things inside, keeping people out it's not a bank vault. There's not like many magical traps and things. In some ways, the museum relies on its exhibits to protect themselves. Someone trying to remove a book from the dark library is probably going to end up inside that book, more likely than not. So in this moment, you know that a determined, skilled lock picker, locksmith, could at least attempt to defeat the locks on the front door. You know that a sufficiently destructive magic or explosive could break these doors open. You have no idea if these people have those things.
Do we have a panic button on us, or?
There are, nexuses, nexi, locuses. I don't know. The alarm
Loci?
spells do loci. Yeah, sure. The alarm spells do sort of go and like weave together and go to like one fixed point near the entry of every exhibition hall. There is, it's not like pulling a fire alarm. It won't trigger sprinklers and that sort of thing, but it will set off an either audible or silent alarm at that central location that will let someone know that something is wrong.
And if the alarm goes off, like what happens?
Roll a history check first, Fulip.
History check is 25.
Okay. Roll me a pure luck check. So just a D20. You want over, I'm going to say over a 12.
Okay, let's see. 14.
All right. Fulip, in your time at the museum, there was one other time when the alarm was triggered. And I'm going to ask you to tell me this story. What broke, what went wrong, what happened that either someone, one of the guards, you or someone else pressed this alarm, or one of the exhibit alarms went off. What happened?
I mean, I was pretty new on the job then. I was really eager, and I was just so excited to be a part of this museum that I was maybe nosing around in some business that I shouldn't have been. And so, I was just curious about all sorts of things, and started wandering into like the depths of the museum, kind of some like research areas, not realizing that it was like warded off. So it was in fact me who tripped the alarm. So eager in my curiosity.
Yeah.
But I just heard some interesting sounds coming out of this basement room, and I started to open this door, and I saw some strange lights as soon as the door opened, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm gonna find something really interesting here, and
you did. In fact, you had found on this day many months ago, maybe even many years. We have not specified necessarily, but this is, the archives and the stacks, the basements of the museum are exhibits that are out of rotation, or things that have not been put on display, or even a few things that were eventually deemed too dangerous to be in the main museum. You did find your way to the repository of artifacts from the Feywild that have not been displayed yet. So this was, a sense of something like home even calling to you.
It's personal.
It's very personal. And so as you open, so you know what happens when an alarm on one of these kind of storage rooms in the basement goes off. And when that happened, very quickly, within a minute or three, you had just enough time to kind of go into this room and see these sights and sounds and smells that remind you of your home, when a contingent of the Sea Shallow Council Guard in their turquoise tunics and armor just was teleported into the hallway outside. And it took you some time to explain what was going on. It was helped by the fact that you did have the fairy-sized version of the museum jumpsuit and you did have an
Absolutely.
ID badge and nothing was out of place. But you
Very
know,
good care.
very good care. In this moment, you know that at a minimum, an alarm should probably summon a detachment of council guards, and if they won't be teleported here, you do know by this time, there are sort of guard posts every few radians around each of the rings of Sea Shallow, and more of them in the inner ring and the second ring. So where you are, even if they were running, maybe 5 minutes at the most, and a detachment would be running. If they were teleported, just as long as it would take them to, have someone cast that spell.
Hit the button. Call the guard. These insect catchers are not what they seem.
I don't know. That feels like a pretty big deal. The guards can be, we wouldn't want to make the wrong call. It was a miracle that I didn't get fired, much less arrested.
Oh, I can see why you're nervous. Maybe let's talk to these pest catchers some more. But I have not one iota of trust for them.
Why don't you hold guard here, and we'll dispatch of the bugs, and you can let me know over our telepathic connection that is still online if we need to rush back.
Very well. I am not certain that splitting the party is the most wise maneuver, but I will hold guard here. I do not trust these people.
So Kai, you're when you form that telepathic connection, it lasts for 4 minutes. So if you were to renew that connection at this point, you think you could probably make the delivery of the centipedes and return. But it is not an indefinite thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I will renew it.
Okay. So Megistus is staying put, and the two of you are going to go return the centipedes. Okay. So we'll start with the two of you. It takes you minute or three to get.
Well, with our 4-minute timeline.
I will be more specific. And see, now I'm just trying to remember, Academy of Sciences for reference. How long does it take me to walk from that end to that end?
What the model is, the Cal Academy? Okay, this actually helps me a lot. Are y'all headed to the biodome?
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of if the Cal Academy and the De Young were one building that definitely still had the living roof thing, but was also much more made of coral and also larger on the inside than the outside because magic.
And also the Louvre.
And also a bit of the Louvre, except the Bouvre, because I'm funny. Ha ha. I'm so funny. So here's the thing. I think it does take you a full 3 minutes. Even the centipedes can only move as fast as they can move. As a dwarf, your movement speed is just a little bit less, just by height. And Fulip is kind of you're small and you're flying as fast as you can to keep up in a lot of ways. So it takes you 3 minutes to get to the biology wing. And actually, so now that I've said that, Megistus, give me a perception check.
All right. Perceiving. It is a 15.
Okay. You watch, and for about a minute, nothing happens, or nothing much. You see there are 5 figures that are kind of outside. The glass makes it a little bit indistinct, but you can count 5 of them. Hard to see details. And they seem to huddle up for a minute, and then one of them kind of shrugs and turns towards the door and kneels down and begins pulling something kind of out of a pocket and getting real close to the lock.
All right. I send via telepathy back to my compatriot Axebeard. They are attempting to break the lock. I think that you should come back immediately and that we should hit the alarm immediately. In fact, I just do hit the alarm. Wherever the closest alarm port is, I am now calling the guard.
Okay. You hit the alarm. This one, you see, it's like it's sort of like that. You're familiar somewhat with the silver thread of the alarm spell, and it's when you really focus, you can see little silver lines around many of the pieces of art, and near you, where one of these nexuses is, as you push it, you see a pulse of light travel along one of the silver lines up to the ceiling and vanish. Axebeard, I would say you have not fully made it to biology at this point. It's only, maybe 2.5 minutes. So you're close, but your compatriot has just telepathically urged you to return.
Can these people, the guy specifically, or the person who is attempting to pick the lock, hear me through the door?
Very unlikely. They are pretty big, pretty thick. As far as I was imagining the space, there's also still kind of like the atrium or the lobby, and you're a good 40, 50-ish feet back from it. So no,
Okay.
you are not
no communicating
heard.
with them. All right. Thank you.
Not without shouting. You if you wanted to move closer, wanted to shout.
Okay.
Yeah. Philip and Axebeard, back to you guys.
My intuition says that these vermin, so-called people, might have some connection to these bugs, and if they get in the space, they can turn these bugs against us.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel very strongly that we find them a home away from them.
I agree. I'm invested in these bugs, and I just really want the museum to have a chance to deal with them. And we're so close.
Do you want to do this as a solo mission and really impress our biologist, or would you like me to accompany you?
Do we think is the biologist present?
I would say without needing to make a check, the staff equivalent of a biologist, sort of the druid who is most interested in the living things of the world and usually here, has been known to work late, does not always. Okay. Sort of one of the academics that can get so lost in work they forget human needs and will just.
The animals don't need 24-hour care.
No, I'm gonna say no. I think in this case there are enough magical systems in place that someone permanently and honestly I would say actually it's part of your guys' job or the night shift, right? Is to do on the sweeps, go through this area and make sure that everything is okay. And there is the emergency number to call. There's a specific one for the living creatures of the museum. But
why don't we just call them?
It does seem like that might be the move to I guess we could see if the biologist is there, and then or the druid, and then if not,
well, I have this pager.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have my bubble. What is my sending?
Oh yeah, Axebeard has a bubble account and a little sending stone.
Automatically have a bubble account.
That's true. Well, I don't think your fairy in our last one shot did, but it would be the size of you. Yeah, sure. You've got a sending stone with a bubble account. Absolutely. This is somewhere between any number of social media things that also magically takes little magical illusions and records them.
Well, I mean, how would I, as a professional, contact another professional and?
Well, I mean, so again, in this case, there is a little the emergency vet care essentially button push, and roll me a luck check. Let's see if the biologist the druid has a bubble account.
1.
Unfortunately, they do not.
Okay.
So there is the emergency call. I'm going to say this is all happening. You are processing this very quickly, but you know that your compatriot is watching these people try to break into the museum.
I think we're just emergency call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you need to dash back, I can stay with the centipedes and get them where they need to go.
I will dash.
Okay. You slap the emergency call button. Axebeard gives you Fulip a nod and starts running back. A moment later, hardly any time at all, you see kind of in the biology hall, slightly to one side as you enter, is a large cypress tree. Slightly unusually for this climate and thing, but it has been there for a long time. And you see a specific knot hole on it swell and grow and stretch until it is fully humanoid sized. And you see a short Aasimar step through. You see that she is kind of rubbing some sleep out of her eyes a little bit. These like very large, like anime almost too big for her face looking eyes, and bits of coral woven intricately into hair that's been braided. And as she rubs sleep out of her eyes and like looks around, you see like you're the last thing in the room that she looks at. It's like plant, insect, other insect, sea creature, like the scan of the room takes in all the other living things and finally comes back to you. Oh, was it you that called me? Is something wrong? Is one of the animals hurt?
Oh, well, you see, we found these friends, centipedes, in the walls, and we think, there are some people outside, but we've made friends, and they seem very nice.
The walls. In the walls.
Yes.
Well, that's somewhat troubling.
I'm also like a little starstruck here because I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
This person has a really cool job.
Roll me a history check while we're at it. You see her kind of like gesture, and a nearby terrarium kind of like floats off of a table and begins just like scooping the centipedes as it like slides along the floor. It's a bit of a like scraping noise, but beginning to like gather all of them in.
So I communicated with the centipedes, and you know we all came here together, and you know I took care of them, and you know I'm trying to learn about them and observe their behaviors.
Oh, nice. Fulip, this is, I think, one of your not exactly heroes, but someone that you have been extremely excited to meet. This is the Archdruid Tethys, who is the Archdruid of Sea Shallow itself. And in her, you know, copious amounts of spare time, looks after... The rumors go that somehow she looks after every public aquarium and park in the entire city. But that seems impossible, right? But she's an archer. So these are the rumors. But it is known, and you have confirmed, that she does take care of the animals here at the museum.
I'm both like really stoked to meet her and also terrified that I've bothered her. And I want her to know that I'm doing a great job, but also like, I really hope I didn't mess this up.
Yeah. She looks over and she smiles at you as the skeletons, centipedes, that's the one. All the things, it was like, how many wrong answers. The centipedes are all kind of like scooped. The terrarium grows and stretches a little bit as more of them and more enter, and then she puts a top on it and it floats onto a nearby table, and she sort of cocks her head and stares into it while speaking to you. Where did you found them in the walls, and has something else strange happened tonight?
Well, there are these people outside.
People?
You know, I was really paying more attention to the centipedes. You know, I'm really great with creatures, and
Isn't that wonderful?
yes.
I should take more of an interest in you, shouldn't I? And without saying another word, she reaches out, takes a hold of, it's pretty much your entire arm, gently but firmly and without really asking, and then by sheer force of size, takes a couple steps. You see the same knot hole on this large tree begin opening up, and without another word, she steps into it, taking you with her.
Oh, wait.
And from there, we're going to cut back to first, Megistus, to you. So, after you warned Axebeard, a moment later, you can feel the link drop. It has now been 4 minutes since they left. You hear a little bit of like it's metal on metal, shaking, rattling. It seems like this person is trying to pick the door and doing a bad job of it.
Great. I am going to walk through the door and yell a suggestion spell through it at them.
Okay, sure. Yeah. How close do you want to get?
Given that I am familiar with the thickness of the front doors, as close as I have to get in order for them to be, impacted by this suggestion spell.
Okay. All right. And you.
So I'm going to just say,
a creature.
Stop picking the lock, or stop trying to pick the lock. And they have to succeed on a wisdom save of 14 in order to not be impacted. Or let me see. On a failed save, it pursues the course. If the suggested activity can be completed in time.
Yeah. Is it technically creatures that can't be charmed are immune? Okay. Sure. So you're telling this person to stop picking the lock. Oh, hot garbage. What do they have to be?
14.
Fails.
Okay, great.
Fails. You see this person immediately, as you yell, first, the heads all swivel towards you. It looks like the other four were kind of like a few steps away, just sort of talking to them amongst themselves or something, and this one was left to focus. Every head snaps around, turns to look towards you, and then turns and looks at the poor bastard, who immediately drops the lockpick, stares at it, and you see this like the tension in their body as like they want to try to pick it up, but they literally can't.
Magical spells. So delightful.
Axebeard, you run through the halls, huffing it, having left Fulip with the centipedes, pressed the alarm. You arrive, I think, as I have described this layout, and for the laws of narrative causality and purpose, you arrive and you round the corner just as you hear Megistus shouting into the open lobby to stop picking the lock, and you see the reaction of this person who stands up, leaving their lockpicks on the ground, and the other heads turning. What do you do?
I cast Arms of Hadar.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I don't know what the spell is, but it sounds exciting.
Will you read the description of this, please?
My first time encountering it. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
I invoke the power of Hadar, the dark hunger. Tendrils of dark energy erupt from me as I batter all creatures within 10 feet of me. Each creature in the area must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, a target takes a 2d6 necrotic damage and can't take reactions until its next turn. On successful save, the creature takes half damage, but suffers no other effect.
Okay. So the thing that I want to point out to you is this is 10 feet radius from you.
Yeah.
So you're like running to the front door, opening the front door, and letting this.
Wait, do they have to open it in order to cast this? Or can it go through the door since it's magic? Because it only says creatures. It doesn't say it damages objects.
You know what? I accept the rules lawyering in the spirit of it. I think you're right. I think technically Technically, it doesn't say anything about especially glass, and I would
It
allow
probably
it.
does hit me, though, because I got to be within 10 feet of the door in order to be yelling suggestion through it.
Yeah. But that kind of feels in character for Axebeard. But I'm not going to push that. That sort of feels like that's exactly what you do, and you're like, just kind of shove him out of the way as you do. Okay.
Yeah, I even I will even like tell him to like get back with my mind, and that's it.
Here's what I'm going to say, Megistus. Give me a dexterity save.
That's fair. I'll take that. All right, Dex +1. It's a 9. It's probably don't get out of the way.
Okay, so you duck, but it is not, and try to step back, but is not quite in time as the dark tendrils of energy erupt from your friend. So Megistus and this guy are going to make a strength saving throw. That is a 5.
There's 5 people.
Yeah.
The others are not right at the door.
Oh.
They're a few feet back.
All right. I probably just
roll me a d4, Kaya.
Okay.
I just got an 8 on my strength save.
I got a 2.
Okay. So 2 of the others came up. So first one fails. Second one gets
generous of DMs.
Second one gets a 15, which I think succeeds. Last one gets a 13, which fails, succeeds. Okay. Yeah. Meets it, beats it.
13.
So yeah. So one fails. 2 of them succeed, and Megistus also fails.
That's just like
Roll me 2d6 of damage.
3d6.
3d. Do you cast it at
On my second level.
Okay, yeah, 3d6.
1, 6, 1, 2. That's a 9.
The poor bastard who was trying to pick the lock is grabbed by 2 of these tendrils. They strangle the life out of him and throw him to the ground completely dead.
What?
nice.
This one you see is just kind of like wearing this.
What? 9 killed him?
Yeah.
He's just a little lock.
They're just little chump guys. Like, 1, y'all are not high level. 2, they're chumps.
Oh no.
The other 2, the tendrils lash out, and you see strange dark bruises immediately forming where they were hit by these tendrils. But they are still okay. They're still alive. You recognize the voice of one of the others as he starts shouting from like a few feet away. Hey, what the fuck? We're just here to help. We're from Crimson Pest Control. What's going on? We just heard that you had an infestation or something. Wow, rude.
Why are you trying to pick the locks?
Well, look, we gotta get in. If you have something that's like aggressive and trying to infest, you really need to take care of it sooner rather than later.
Can you ask them how they heard we had an infestation in the first place?
How'd you hear about the infestation?
Ow. Well, we were just having a conversation. Why do you have to go back? It's give me a headache. Well, look, you guys have like magical alarms, right? And there's one for bugs.
A magical bug alarm. Okay. Got it. Yeah, I'm not buying that story.
Roll an insight.
Right. There you go. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm inciting so poorly. That was a 9.
Sounds legit. There's a lot of magical alarms in here. There's probably one for a magical bug.
That was a 15 plus. That was a 16.
There's definitely magical alarms in here. Like, the lock picking is really suspicious, but maybe they really just were trying to do their job as fast as possible. It's a little hard. He sounds kind of genuine.
I say we.
Philip, you want to try too?
Wait, I thought Philip just went through a magical door with.
Oh, that's never mind. Yes, Philip's
I
not
would,
there.
but I'm away.
But Marietta, so as this starts to make sense in your head, somehow, that in spite of everything, they're like, well, no, there must be a magical alarm for bugs, right? Everything, if like had a bunch of beetles get loose in here, they'd eat all the books and stuff. Like, right? Why does this make sense? You see, so there are, several large trees, palm trees, bushes, shrubs, and a particularly nice sort of liana vine, an orchid vine, begins swelling and opening. And the two of you see there's a bit of a sound, some bark. The heads of the still living pest control turn behind them, and emerging from this flower, which is now fully a 5-foot plus bloom, you see the same figure that Fulip saw, a short Aasimar with coral braided in their hair, stepping through, tugging Fulip behind them.
Kind of dazed, disoriented.
Fulip, to you, 5 seconds ago, you were in the biology lab. You were yanked into this dark tunnel. It seemed oddly long and yet no more than 5 steps, and you have emerged at the recognizably front of the building. You see one not moving, lying on the ground person right by the door, and a few other people. And Tethiste looks around and just goes, oh, well, that's not usual, is it? Do you want to have a little fun?
Yes?
Excellent. You see her eyes just like blaze with light as if they're and like fully in this darkness by now. You can see they are illuminating the area ahead of you.
I am like absolutely terrified, but also kind of in love.
Yeah. As she, okay, wait, there are one of them is down.
Okay, wait.
So here's the thing. You guys, you see this small woman suddenly glow, emitting light from her eyes, and begin walking towards the group of people, and just sort of very casually turns a hand, gestures, and like points in their direction. And suddenly large strands of blackberry and bramble and other thorns just erupt out of the flagstones of the ground and wrap themselves around every one of these still standing exterminators.
Whoa, that's so cool. Did I say that out loud?
Yes. And now it's your turn. She looks back, and there is a smile on her face that is as beautiful as it is terrifying. Go ahead.
So at this point, okay, like I'm still kind of taking in the scene. Just like, okay, there are like vines wrapped around these intruders. And I just want to like make some sense of what's going on.
Your choice, I think, insight or perception, kind of to immediately take this in at a glance, what's going on. And you do not have dark vision, so I will not give you advantage, but will not be at disadvantage.
I'll go with perception.
Okay.
That's a 12.
Even with a 12, as you step out, so, you caught a glimpse of these people. This is definitely the people that were trying to break into the museum. One of them's out cold on the ground. The other 4 are kind of in various, like close to the door, a little bit farther away. And your compatriots are now kind of visible because they're closer to the doors. And they are kind of looking at each other, I would say like a touch confused, but still clearly on guard. So whatever has happened in this 2 to 3 minutes while you and Tethiste were talking and then moving through this magical tunnel, it seems pretty likely that whatever happened, your coworkers are taking some more decisive action against these 5, now 4 people. And Tethys, without questioning it, is just like, nope, wrap them up in vines so they cannot move. They are completely entangled, as it were.
And I do want to impress Tethys. And so, like, what is she trying to get out of them? Like, what is?
So, you know, as someone that you have sort of had an eye on, you know, she is known to be a druid's druid, true neutral, here for nature, here to protect the things that are hers. And so in this moment, she probably wants to get answers out of them, but also is the kind of person that would not think twice about really going like, you're the important one? Great. The other ones all die, and you tell me what I need to know. Like, can be very, very ruthless in that way. So in this moment, she probably wants at least one of them alive, but like hurting them, like impressing her could be anything from like running over and like stabbing one in the eye to casting a spell to make them talk.
Okay.
To backing her up. Yeah, go for it.
I see that I have detect thoughts. So I think I should cast that and ask them, what are you doing here?
Yeah. You fly over. They are all struggling and restrained. And you, as you ask this and begin focusing in, Tethys kind of looks over towards the door, and you hear her voice booming, loud, magically enhanced, just goes, would you mind opening up so we can have a little chat about this? I don't think our friends are going anywhere. And she turns the same beautiful and terrifying smile on them. So, Fulip, as you, so the surface thoughts, as you skip from kind of person to person, the 2 wearing more like jumpsuit-ish things are both just going, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, what do we do? Oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, shit. The other 2, one of them is kind of going this like, God damn it, I knew that this was a bad idea. I should have said no. And the other one is just going, Theobald is going to kill us if they find out what we were after, if we don't bring this back.
I knew it. Crimson pest catchers. Didn't fool me for a second.
So you have an option here with detect thoughts. You can try to, so that is surface thoughts. You just, they all maybe are aware that you're doing this, but none of them are really answering. They're all kind of like looking a little angry. If you want to probe deeper into any of them, you can, but they will know and they get to make a saving throw against it.
All right. I think I'm going to probe deep because you know I'm trying to be impressive here. I'm trying to do a good job and save the day.
He rolls a 5 on his wisdom save. So you feel there's a moment of resistance, just a moment, and then it shatters beneath the magic and the force of your mind. As you probe deeper, you see what looks like a memory to you. And it's as if you're looking out of this person's eyes and you're looking into a human face. It seems as if they're sitting at a table in a small tavern somewhere. It's a little bit hard to tell exactly where because the surroundings aren't completely clear. And the person in front of you, or in front of the mind that you're occupying, is a sort of elderly and very kind-looking human. Graying hair, balding a little bit, but hasn't quite shaved it all off. A beard that is long but well trimmed, not as elaborate as a dwarven beard, but not just like, scraggly hermit beard. And he's wearing a deep red cloak over a slightly lighter shade of red robes. And he says, you and your comrades are going to retrieve the axe. Yes? Good. Now, I'm sure I don't need to tell you how important it is to Theobald himself and to the Harbingers. If you don't, well, I'm sure you know the consequences. And the memory sort of ends there. There's kind of a fast forward, a sense that full of terror. This person nodded, didn't really say anything, left this meeting, and in fast motion, it does seem like this happened in the city, in Sea Shallow somewhere, made their way through perhaps the fourth ring, perhaps the fifth, a little bit unclear as the motion blurs in your vision, retrieves the rest of these people from several different stops, and they all have ended up at the museum. And as you return to yourself, you see that one staring at you, and his eyes just growing wider and wider and wider in fear. Meanwhile, the two of you inside have been asked to open the doors. Do you?
I am willing to. I'll consult my compatriot, Axbeard. Tethist is well known to be a force for good in this city, and she seems to have the matter well under control. Shall we open the doors?
Oh, yes,
All right.
of course. Whatever
Great.
the High Council
I
person.
open the doors and say, Tethist, we're so glad you're here. Fulip, excellent work in bringing such powerful backup. What should we do next? What are your orders, Tethist?
Well, judging by your new friend Fulip, was it?
Yes, that's my name.
I think this one, and she points exactly at the one who's like now is shaking a little bit, like the blackberry vines trembling. And she just goes, I think that one and I should have a little chat. And I'll be sure to tell the director of your very good work in preventing a dangerous theft. But I can take care of it unless you'd really like to know what I'm going to do to them.
Well, I'm less interested in knowing what the fate of these ruffians is, as in what they wanted and what we should be especially careful to protect in the future. I assume it's the spell book of Genma Metalbraid, but I wouldn't want to make that mistake. I certainly think that's the most valuable item in this museum, but I want to know more.
It's certainly quite valuable. Fulip, did they tell you anything?
There was something about an axe. They're after an axe, and someone named whatever that name was.
Theobald.
Theobald.
She, you see her eyes that have now sort of returned. They're not glowing as much. They're just sort of a very luminous, bright, brilliant blue. And her eyes widen and she takes a small step back and then looks very sharply over at the group. Oh, is that what you were doing? That axe is a very dangerous relic. No one really knows where it come from, but as the story goes and as the placard inside reads, when it was found during the construction of the inner ring, a worker killed 37 people before he was subdued by Mendicale, a cleric, and one of the founders of the Grand Temple. So if that's what they were after, then something quite interesting is afoot, and I'm going to have a very, very long conversation. And as she hits the last word, you see her face begins stretching, her jaw lengthens, scales begin forming, her body starts swelling. You all have to take several steps back, and within 6 seconds, an enormous adult gold dragon is crouched on the cobblestones in front of you. As this happens, the vines begin disappearing, and she slashes out with a massive paw. 3 of these individuals, the ones that did not respond to your detect thoughts, are immediately crushed. And she carefully, with 2 claws, squeezes, like piercing the shoulder of this person and just lifts him up. I'll be sure to relay your very good work. Well done. And you. And she flaps huge wings and takes off into the night, leaving several bodies behind on the ground.
Oh, that was one hell of a scene. Love it. Love it.
Thank you. I try to reward. And so with this amount of commotion in short time, there is a detachment of council guard, and the cleanup, as it were, begins. And eventually, as you all are asked questions and fill in the story and relay the events to a succession. First it's like a guard sergeant, and then he has to get someone else out of bed, and then it's lieutenant, and then that person has to get someone else out of bed, and that person is the captain. And finally, as you are all exhausted at almost sunrise, a figure strolls into view. An elaborately, exaggeratedly casual walk. Your boss, Will Slumberg. Oh, so I heard you guys had an exciting night. Well, any damages come out of your pay, so... He kind of looks around. These cobblestones,
all the damage was made by Councilwoman.
Tethys.
Or
I
Councilperson
imagine
Tethys.
you'd have to respond to her if you're trying to take things out of our wages.
It is one of the best mornings, the best sunrises of your life, as your normally unflappable boss stands there with his jaw open, watching the 3 of you leave, heading off for breakfast and the rest of your day, or perhaps a well-earned rest. And that is where we're going to end tonight.
Lovely. Wow.
Woohoo.
Wow.
Lots of little seeds planting.
Ending.
See, I'm having a lot of fun slipping in other facets from other games, and our longtime listeners, our roller friends, will know little bits of the shape of things to come. Ava, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
thanks so much for having me on. It's so much fun to play with you.
That was a blast. Fool Up was super fun.
Agreed.
Man, I at some point got to try playing a fairy. It's going to be a weird time for me, I'm sure, but I have to.
Based on this experience, I recommend it.
Yeah, amazing. Listeners, thank you for joining us. Remember that you can find us on the interwebs at The Roll Report Cast on Instagram and TikTok. You can also find the podcast wherever you find your podcasts, and you could leave us a review. If you like what you hear, you could make it a 5-star one, or you could even write a little blurb and oh wait, it's been a while since I checked. Okay, real fast. Is there any new reviews up on Apple Podcast? No, there is not. But thank you all of the many people that have given us reviews. And you know what? If you want to hear your review being read, go ahead on Apple Podcast and leave us a review. It's great. And
we also have a Patreon.
We also have a Patreon. If you really love us, and we hope you do, head on over to patreon.com/The Roll Report, where for as little as $2 a month, you can help us continue making the show. And for a little more money than that, you hear no ads, and you hear full interviews with all of our guests for classing up the joint and so much more. Ava, where can people find you on the internet if they would like to know more about you and what you do?
Oh, goodness. I'm not like super findable, but technically I do have a website.
There we
you can
go.
Look me up, just my name, avamaag.com, AVAMAAG, for some kind of outdated photos and information. But maybe that's some.
Hey, maybe it's time to update.
Maybe it's time to update that, and I'll have that
Yeah.
classed up pretty soon.
Amazing. Yeah. Ben, where can people find you?
I am on Instagram at Ben_Rogue. You can find my nerd things
Right.
there.
So nerd, much great, much joy. Kaya, where can people find you?
Instagram at Kayamay, KAYAMEYY.
And you can't find me, but you can find my cats. And we are on Instagram at No Good Cats. My boys, Fast and Cheap, and occasionally Ollie. Yeah, this is a blast. More museums to come, maybe. I don't know. Maybe the campaign will have to go back there and see what's up with
Yeah,
this
I was going to
axe.
say this acts of mass murder. I definitely, and also I feel like I did not get to learn enough about this book of Genma Metal Braid. So we have to come back. Yeah.
Amazing.
I also didn't get to go up to the Star Observatory either.
Yeah, we were a little pressed
Well-
for time, defeating evil.
You did in fact one of the I will tell you, this was not one of the endings that I had thought would happen. But it worked. It was I had several plans for you all failing all the insight checks and possibly getting knocked out. I had plans for passing the insight checks and getting in a fight and defeating all of them, and like one other contingency that was not this at all.
Right.
So, as always happens, my players are wonderful and surprising, and I am so lucky that they keep me on my toes like this.
Indeed.
Oh, right. I didn't even say this. So, Ava, we do this really fun and really ridiculous thing that's even harder on Zoom, where we improvise a ridiculous barbershop quartet
Wonderful song.
about
Right.
a wonderful song about the episode we just played. So, like we always do, a 5, 6, a 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Night at the museum.
Do-do.
Night at the museum. Bum, 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 bum.
Do-do.
The night at the museum.
Night at the museum.
Skitter,
Started with centipedes, ended with a druid.